This is Newcap News with Nicole Stilger.
Well, back at home, City Council met once again this week, making strides to make Lloydminster a more inclusive place to live. City Council reporter Brian Lentz has more from City Hall.
To start off the meeting, Mayor Albers proclaimed June 26th to 30th Pride Week in Lloydminster for the first time in the border city's history.
It's certainly important that we be all-inclusive to everyone, and the point being that there's no discrimination.
Council also began the process of conducting a forensic audit into the travel expenses of city staff, going all the way back to January 2009.
Getting an idea of what's going on in terms of the city's travel expenses and whether or not there's any processes and procedures that could be changed moving forward so we can avoid having any potential impropriety.
There's a feeling in the community that things weren't just the way they should be, and I'm in favor of it for a lot of reasons, but one is we got to clear the air and get on with life.
Now, there is no word yet on when that audit will take place or who will carry it out or how much it will cost, but we'll have more details as that develops. And also, City Council began the process of closing down a portion of the back alley by the Northside Fast Gas, and will be hosting a public hearing next council meeting, July 17th, in order to hear the public's concerns. Reporting from City Hall, I'm Brian Lentz, Newcap News.
The Lloydminster Interval Home held their annual general meeting today, making an exciting announcement that will bring them one step closer to helping more victims of family violence. The nonprofit has been in the same space since 1981, but they're looking forward to a new build.
Today we received some great news that we are receiving a $20,000 donation or award to go towards kickstarting our new shelter build campaign. So how that works is $10,000 came from Concentra and $10,000 came from Synergy Credit Union, which matched that original $10,000 donation.
The current facility has space for 21 beds, but as the community grows, so does the number of people reaching out for help.
We actually are in great need of a new shelter, so about 2 years ago we announced our plans for a new shelter. It's been slow in coming forward, but I think within the next few months we'll be ready for drawings and have all of that ready to go and kickstart our capital campaign.
Last year, the Interval Home had to turn away 1,300 people due to the lack of space. They're hopeful to have the project complete in 3 years. Well, it was the best turnout in years. That's what organizers of Streetfest are saying. The final number of visitors was probably higher than the almost 7,500 people who strolled through 50th Ave 3 years ago. Several new attractions, including Axe Rising and Impulse escape rooms, added to an already large variety of things to do.
Just having the diversity that we've had, all the different ethnic groups that have come out and all the buskers that have come out and kind of showed their talent out on the street, not on the main stage, but actually out throughout the entire event.
For those at Streetfest for the first time, it was a bit of a shock to see downtown so tightly packed.
Considering the town only has 30,000 people, it was pretty surprising how many people came out. So it was awesome, especially because they let us set up a little mini room and not just a tent, so that was awesome.
Angelo says this is a good sign for both the community and the growth of downtown.
The last 24 months with the economy being in the way it is and people having faith enough to move into an oil town, yeah, I think it's a good indication that things are going to start going in the right direction for the city.
Now, ideas for additions to next year's event are already being discussed. And last week's Just Cruise and Show and Shine had more than 100 cars, with each one telling a different story. The late Allison McComb's 1968 Camaro represents love, loss, and a desire to help others. Josh Ryan explains.
Taking part in the show and shine was bittersweet for J.J. McComb without having his wife Allison by his side, who passed away 3 years ago.
It's hard, it's touching. I miss her lots, but it's nice we still have the car.
Allison bought this 68 Camaro in her last year of high school. It will eventually pass on to the McCombs' 2 sons to carry on family tradition.
My son took it to his grad. He's graduating this year, and he won 2 trophies with it, just like his mom did in '89 when she graduated.
For now, McComb is using the car to help promote awareness for transplant and tissue donations, particularly the importance of getting people to fill out donor cards.
It can happen to anybody. We're proof positive of that. She was a healthy 42-year-old lady when she passed away, and sad.
Even after passing, Allison has been able to provide for others through the donation of her tissue and organs, fitting for how she lived in this community.
When Allison passed away, she was able to help so many people, and it's very important to raise awareness for the need for organ and tissue donation.
And wherever the McCombs take the Camaro, she remains with them, literally and figuratively.
There's a little urn in there, and she's with the car all the time. The boys came home from the hospital when they were born in it. There's a lot of family memories with the car, and there'll be more to come.
Josh Ryan, Newcap News.
Well, they're a pest that have plagued the prairies for decades. Alberta has long claimed to be rat-free, but as Brian Lentz shows us in this week's edition of Retrospect, Saskatchewan has not been so lucky.
Rats are a rising problem in Saskatchewan. At one time, pest control officers thought they had it under control. However, it turns out that's not the case.
In Saskatchewan, they're getting worse. We're concerned because of all the diseases that they carry, not just to humans, but to animals as well. People with hog operations should be very concerned because of the different diseases that can be carried to their hog population.
Farquharson blames the increasing rat problem on government cutbacks. He says those forced many municipalities to drop rat control programs or scale them back. So the Pest Control Officers Association is going to the government to turn the trend around.
Our aim is to try and get the government in Saskatchewan to come up with a uniform program so we can say that we're rat-free in the future.
The association will meet with the Saskatchewan Cabinet this coming fall. They'd like to start an eradication program as early as next year.
Basically with poisoning and gassing and whatever it takes to rid the province of these dirty little animals.
Saskatchewan continues to work towards a rat-free future, and those in the field say it's finally getting close.
The Saskatchewan rat control program has improved considerably than when I started. They have a claim to fame that 2/3 of their RMs are rat-free now.
Merrill says since he began in rat control in the 70s, changes in the agriculture industry have had a major impact.
Today, most operations, farming operations, if they store feed, they have it in a steel granary with a cement floor, or their hog barn is all cement, and there's just no place for rats to hide.
But he says the risk of importing rats on vehicles or trailers will remain as long as there are rats. That's all for Retrospect. I'm Brian Lentz.
This is Newcap Sports.
Well, this week's Newcap Sports Athlete of the Week may be young, but don't let his age fool you. Brittany Matika spent some time getting to know this talented young man who believes his biggest competitor is himself as he strives to beat his personal bests.
Shamar Whittaker is in grade 5 at Sir Winston Churchill Elementary School. He loves soccer, basketball, and track and field. He competed in high jump, long jump, 75-meter, and 800-meter races at the Lloydminster City Twilight Meet on June 6th, setting 2 new records. He received the top grade 5 athlete award for the meet.
That it's not just about winning, or it's not about winning, it's about beating yourself in track.
He tries his hardest at every practice. He wants to do his best. He's very driven, but he's also very coachable. Probably one of the most coachable kids I've ever worked with. And so when you have those things in your pocket and then you also have the skills and abilities, that's the foundation for just an exceptional athlete.
Running 800 meters isn't easy, but the grade 5 student wants to keep challenging himself.
The drive of having people right on your heels, knowing that if you slow down, they could pass you at any minute.
He just amazes me with how hard he wants to try at everything. His biggest event that he showed improvement in this year is a long distance, so he even kind of alluded to the fact that it's not one of his favorites. He likes a short distance, but I know that was one of his goals, is to win that at this year's Twilight Meet. And he ran absolutely the perfect race.
Whittaker says he enjoys all his track events, but long jump is his favorite.
Because it mixes both sprinting and jumping, and that's my 2 favorite things to do.
Thiessen has been coaching Whittaker for 2 years and is looking forward to continuing to support his athletic growth and goals next year.
Shamar's goals are all his. So at the beginning of every season, he knows what he wants to do, and the fact that he is driven to do that, the goals have to come from the athlete themselves.
Same as this year, do my best, beat my personal, and just go all out.
Brittany Matika, Newcap Sports.
Week 4 of the CPCA Pro Tour is in the books, highlighted by the first dash of the season. Lance Phillips brings us the highlights from another successful weekend in Wainwright.
Some seriously fast times highlighted another beautiful weekend in Wainwright, and leading the way was Wayne Knight, pulling off his second show win in as many years. Chris Molly continues to stay at the top of the CPCA standings, and it's becoming clear that for a few of the drivers, their outfits are really starting to show progress.
I switched a few more horses around and they're getting stronger and stronger, and I'm very pleased with these horses going into Onion Lake and Calgary, so as long as I can keep them healthy and happy, we should be good.
This year, I think without being in Calgary, I think it's going to help me because they weren't fit enough to begin with, and so that running them the way I'm running them now and being able to give them that break is going to really pay off, I think.
And for Kerry, maybe the strongest part of his outfit is what it does before the long strides begin.
That's the one thing about me is that I've always had a hard barreling outfit, and I don't know if I'm doing something for that or not, but it seemed to work in whatever I'm doing, and the barreling is phenomenal.
With Molly at the top, only 30 points separates drivers 2 through 6, meaning it gets harder and harder to maintain standing at the top of the leaderboard.
It is. It puts a lot of pressure on a guy because you got the target on your back and everybody wants to get after you, but you know, I look at it as if I'm last place and want to keep climbing and do my thing and don't worry about what everybody else is thinking or saying, and try to do my best.
As long as I stay clean and I'm running fast and fast enough to be in the top 10, I'll be fine. I should be able to stay in there.
Ask any driver and they'll tell you there are 2 aspects critical to success on the track, especially if they want to be one of the 4 dashing for a truck in Lloydminster.
Once you start getting penalties, that's when you start dropping out of it. And penalties in this sport are horrendous, and they can make or break your season.
Looking after the horses is the key, is making sure they're fed, watered, and on time, and it's just not thrown out to grass, and exercise regularly, so it's just a lot of upkeep and maintaining them.
Lance Phillips, Newcap Sports, Wainwright.